Do you know, the most powerful country in the world today was once an unknown land, a place no one truly understood, covered in dense forests, flowing rivers, and endless mystery. And then, one day, cutting through the waves of the ocean, history began to change. Christopher Columbus, chasing a dream, searching for a new route to the east. He believed he had reached India, but in reality he had stepped into a completely new world, a land where people already lived. For them, this was home. But from that very moment, the destiny of this land was about to change forever. A peaceful life, unaware of the storm that was coming. Slowly, more nations turned their eyes toward this land. Spain, France, and Britain all wanted control of this new world. And then, Britain established its first permanent settlement, Jamestown. But survival was not easy. Hunger, disease, and death were everywhere. Many didn't make it, but some refused to give up. Gradually, 13 colonies were formed. People began to farm, to build lives. Towns grew, trade expanded. But all of it was still under British rule. And then began the game of taxes. People were forced to pay without having any say. Anger started to rise, and silence began to break. No taxation without representation. This wasn't just a slogan. It was rebellion. Tension grew in the streets, and then shots were fired. The Boston Massacre. Blood stained the snow, and anger turned into fire. This was no longer protest. This was the beginning of revenge. In the darkness of night, a plan was made. Men moved silently, boarding ships and threw chests of tea into the ocean. Britain was furious, and now conflict was inevitable. The tension had reached its breaking point. What began as resistance was now turning into war. In 1775, the first shots of the American Revolution were fired. Ordinary people, farmers, workers, became soldiers overnight. They were not trained, not fully prepared, but they had something powerful, a dream of freedom. Leading them was a man who would become a legend, George Washington. Calm, determined, unshakable.
Our cause demands courage.
The British Army was strong, experienced, and well-equipped, while the colonists struggled with limited weapons and supplies. Winters were brutal. Cold winds, freezing nights, hunger, and fear surrounded them. Many soldiers had no proper clothes, no food, no shelter. And yet, they stayed.
This fire isn't much,
because giving up meant losing everything. Their land, their future, their freedom. And then, in 1776, something extraordinary happened. A document was written. The Declaration of Independence. A bold statement to the world. It declared that these colonies were no longer under British rule. They were free. July 4th, 1776, the birth of a new nation. But declaring freedom was one thing. Winning it was another. The war continued. Battles were fought. Lives were lost. Hope was fading. Until help arrived. France, Britain's greatest rival, stepped in. With weapons, soldiers, and resources, they supported the American cause. This changed everything. The balance of power began to shift. And then came the final blow. In 1781, at Yorktown, the British forces were surrounded. With no escape left, they surrendered. The war was over. In 1783, the Treaty of Paris was signed, and Britain officially recognized the United States of America. A new nation had been born. But this was only the beginning. The war was over, but the real challenge had just begun. A new nation had been born, but how would it survive? There was no king, no empire. This was something the world had never seen before. Leaders came together to build a system that would shape the future. In 1787, the Constitution was written, a foundation for a new kind of government, a system designed to protect freedom and prevent absolute power. Power was divided, so no one person could control everything. And soon, George Washington became the first president, a leader trusted by the people. The nation began to grow, expanding into new lands, new opportunities. Settlers moved west, building homes, chasing dreams. But expansion brought conflict, especially with those who already lived on this land. And deep within the nation, another conflict was rising. A dark reality: slavery. Millions of African people forced into labor, denied freedom, treated as property. The country was divided. The North opposed slavery, while the South depended on it. Tension grew stronger year after year, until finally, in 1861, war broke out. The American Civil War. A brutal and bloody conflict. Not just for land, but for humanity. Brother against brother, nation against itself. For 4 long years, the country was torn apart. But in the end, the North emerged victorious, and in 1865, slavery was abolished. The nation moved one step closer to its true ideals. But the journey was far from over. After the Civil War, America began to rebuild.
Hand me that brick, will you?
Railroads stretched across the nation, connecting distant lands. Factories rose, machines powered a new era. This was the Industrial Revolution, a time of rapid growth. Cities expanded, populations increased. Immigrants arrived from around the world, chasing new opportunities. America was transforming into an economic powerhouse. By the early 20th century, its influence had grown far beyond its borders. Then came World War I. America entered the war and helped shift the balance. The war ended, but peace was short-lived. Soon, the world was at war again. World War II, a global conflict unlike any before. America stood at the center, fighting on multiple fronts. Battles raged across continents.
Push forward!
And then, in 1945, the world witnessed a devastating new power.
For victory!
Atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The war ended, but fear remained. A new tension began. The Cold War, a silent conflict between 2 superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union. A race for dominance in weapons, in space, in global influence.
We must
Decades
de-escalate before this
passed.
spirals out of control.
And then everything changed. The Soviet Union collapsed, leaving the United States as the world's only superpower. Today, America stands as a symbol of power, innovation, and global influence. But its journey was never easy. It was built on struggle, on sacrifice, and on the relentless pursuit of freedom. Because this is not just the story of a nation. This is the story of an idea. An idea that changed the world. If you enjoy powerful documentary storytelling, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.